The February jobs report released earlier today, March 7th, by the Bureau of Labor Statistics has data collected before almost all of the mass firings by the federal government, which started to occur later in the month. Those job losses will start to turn up in March and subsequent months. In the last full month of Biden's presidency, December 2024, the economy added 323,000 jobs. February 2025 was the first full month of Trump's presidency, and the BLS jobs report has the economy adding 151,000 jobs. The unemployment rate rose to 4.1% from 4% in January. Importantly, the U6 number in the BLS report, which measures, quote, total unemployed plus all people marginally attached to the labor force plus total employed part-time for economic reasons, as a percent of the civilian labor force plus all people marginally attached to the labor force, that's end of quote, rose to 8% from 7.5% in January. I'm seeing almost daily now a significant number of major U.S. corporations announcing job layoffs. Last night, Hewlett Packard Enterprises announced that it was cutting 2,500 jobs. HPE does a lot of manufacturing in Mexico. The stock, which trades under the symbol HPE, is down about 15% as of 8:45 Central Standard Time today when I last looked. I do not own the stock, but do own two HPE 4.45% senior unsecured bonds that mature in September 2026. A company that tracks layoff announcements, which is called Challenger, Gray, and Christian, reported yesterday that layoff announcements soared 245% in February compared to January, and that was the highest monthly count since July 2020 during the pandemic-related job losses. In a recent poll, a majority of Americans support Elon Musk job cuts at the federal government. I heard one Trump voter claim that those workers only sat around all day making paper airplanes until they qualified for a pension. There is a total lack of empathy, which should surprise no one. Those voters will simply accept, without question, the representations made by Trump and Musk that they are merely cutting wasteful spending without spending any time learning about the jobs being eliminated or whether the job firings are even legal under the civil service laws. From my perspective, one of the major problems with the decision-making processes of Trump and Musk is that both make decisions based on inaccurate information and without the careful weighing of the pros and cons of a particular decision. Trump does not do fact-based analysis. Nothing could be clearer. No one in Trump's administration would ever tell him that he is relying on demonstrably false information when making major policy changes that will negatively impact millions of Americans. Two examples of that problem include Trump's false statements about tariffs and trade deficits with foreign countries. His claims about trade deficits with Canada, Mexico, and the EU are not even close to the actual numbers reported by the U.S. government and available to anyone who bothers to look. I will cite a fact-check article on that issue in the More section below. Making decisions about important policies impacting millions of Americans using false information, which is the norm for Trump, is not a desirable characteristic in a president, irrespective of the party affiliation. And when no one in Trump's inner circle would dare point out to him that his reasons for a particular policy are not factually accurate, then that is even more worrisome. Trump is not receptive to having his reality creations challenged with accurate information. But the kicker, in my opinion, is that Trump does not do anything resembling a careful balancing of the pros and cons of a particular policy, like starting a tariff war, that will raise prices significantly for U.S. customers and will have other long lasting negative consequences. But they may bring back a few thousand manufacturing jobs in a service dominated U.S. economy somewhere down the road. I discussed the many undesirable personality traits of President Trump in a YouTube video that I published 1 year ago that I will link in the more section below. I view those personality characteristics and traits to be obvious to anyone who wishes to pay attention to what he says and does.